Basically, what we are saying is when we are dealing with social work, we are saying our focus is the environment where people live. How do they live? How are the relationship they have in the environment where they are? So we are looking at people who should be living harmoniously in an environment without abuse, without oppression, without problems. So the social worker is coming to make sure we restore by empowering people who are in the society to be able to deal with their own problems or to remove those obstacles. If there are people who are perpetrators, who are abused, like issues of rape and what have you, if there are people who are perpetrators, then the social worker is coming to make sure that he removes people from danger so that the environment may be inhabitable. People may live in that environment, in a healthy environment, harmoniously. So the purpose and the focus of social work is the environment. We are looking at the environment. So any problems that we see, any problem of social injustice, any problems of relationships, any problems of abuse, any problems that we encounter in the society, the social worker is coming to make sure that he mends relationships, to make sure that he deals with the problem, to solve problems, or to empower people to solve their own problems so that they can live, they can socially function in the society and be productive. Are you getting something?
Yes.
And be productive. So let's look at in that environment, let's look at the aspect of politics. Politics is also a major constraint when it comes to social welfare and the social work. So there are philosophies which different governments they come up with. Every government, when you are looking at it, they have a philosophy when it comes to social work. So there are many philosophies that are crafted or inclined to certain governance. So each government, it will fit into a certain ideology, into a certain philosophy, which they have adopted. So you need to know that when you're dealing with this country, what type of governance do they have? What type of philosophy does that government have? So I'll just share with us here I'll just share three philosophies of social work. So number one philosophy is conservatism. That's philosophy number one. Number two, it's liberalism. Number three is radicalism. So I'll just share on these three philosophies by the government. So number one, the conservatism. If the government adopt the conservatism philosophy, it simply means that this philosophy means that the government believes that individuals are responsible for themselves. So the government should provide minimum interference in people's lives, and change is generally unnecessary. Conservatives, the government that is conservatives, generally advocate a residual approach to social welfare. They believe that dependency is a result of personal failure and that it is natural for inequality to exist among humans. So in this approach, the government that is, we call them conservatives. In fact, you call them conservatives. That's normally the popular word, conservatives. If somebody is conservative, it means he is a person who's reserved. He's a person who says, I don't mind whatever you are doing. So in other words, the government which takes this approach, they are saying people are responsible for themselves. So the government should have a minimum interference in their lives. So if you are in problem, it's your own problem. It's not the government's problem. So this one, they say the government should actually provide minimum interference in people's lives. Minimum interference in people's lives. And change there is generally unnecessary. So they stay put. They are not involved to solve the problem. So the social welfare plan for such a type of government is very minimal. Are you getting what I'm saying? So that's what we have. So they believe that dependency. That's why they say the government should provide minimum interference in people's lives, because they believe that dependence is as a result of personal failure. So they blame people who are in problems. They say it's your problem. It's a personal failure, and that is a natural. It is natural for inequality to exist. Then we go to liberalism. That the government that is liberal, they have a philosophy that government should be involved in the social, political, and economic structure so that people's rights and privileges are protected in the name of social justice. So liberalism, who are liberal, they give freedom. They give freedom. They give freedom. So they say the government should be involved in our social life, in our political life, in our economic structure. The government should be. So it's the government that is with its people. It's the government that feels for its people. It's the government that prioritizes the rights and the privileges of its people. So there is social justice. The government makes sure there is social justice. So they create an enabling environment for its people to socially function in the society, be it in economics, be it politically, be it socially, be it politically. So they give leverage to people to do whatever they feel like. They stand with their people. These are the liberals. So that government support its people. Those are the liberals. So they adhere to an institutional view of social welfare. They assert that because modern society has become a fragmented and complex, and because traditional institutions such as a family have been unable to meet emerging human needs, few individuals can now function without the help of social services. They cannot function without the help of social services. That includes work training, job placement, social programs that moves our country in the direction of a welfare society. So this is the liberal. These are the liberal. So they take a liberalism approach. Now let's go to the government that is radical. A government that is radical. Radicalism is a more extreme approach. This philosophy says that social and political systems, as it stands, is not structurally capable of truly providing social justice. Rather, drastic and fundamental changes are necessary in the basic social and political structure to achieve truly fair and equal treatment. So what do? Radical approach is a painful approach. It's a forceful approach. It's an aggressive approach where they say social and political systems, They do not provide social justice. So they come up with drastic measures that will inflict pain, that will make the life of people difficult, like the austerity measures. So they make fundamental changes. They believe that fundamental changes are necessary in the basic social and political structure to achieve truly fair and equal treatment. So that's radical. So radicalism, you don't feel the pain of your people. You don't hear the cry of your people. This government is ruthless. They don't look at whether people are suffering or not. They look at whether we achieve what we want. So their definition of social justice is different. Their definition is only in their eyes. That's radicalism. So these are the three important philosophies adopted by different governments. So now you need to relate these kind of principles to your government. What type of governance, what type of philosophy does your government adopt? Wherever you are, I want you just to relate these philosophies and say, my government takes which kind of approach here? Do they take the radical? Do they take the liberal? Do they take the conservatives? So that will then determine their contribution in terms of social welfare and the social work at large. So that will either affect people more or it will ease the life of the people they are serving.